Jim.
This is the meeting of the Joliet City Council, October 6, 2020. Mayor Bob Odekirk presiding. Please call the roll.
We need prayer and,
Oh, first?
Yep.
Okay. Can we have a prayer from Father Chris? It's been a while, forgot.
Let us pray. God, our Creator, we are most grateful for the countless favors you bestow. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. God of wisdom and justice, may your enlightenment be with all who are elected to serve in public office. Give your care and protection to everyone in national, state, and local government. Guide and support our mayor, the members of our city council, our acting city mayor, and all members of city staff. Give them the strength to know your will so that all they do may be done with a desire to please you. God of comfort and healing, hear our prayers for everyone in need, for the sick, for healthcare workers, for first responders, for researchers, and for scientists. Grant them the strength to meet everyday challenges. Bring your peace to a world surrounded by uncertainty and fear. Give us the ability to work together to overcome hatred and misunderstanding. May we all be willing to reach out with a commitment to care for the well-being of all people. Give your wisdom and insight to promote the common good of all citizens. For we pray to you, our eternal and merciful Lord and God, forever and ever. Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, Father Chris.
all right.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Dickinson.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Councilman Morris is out of town with a family matter.
Okay, absent. Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
Councilman Turk.
Here.
And first on the agenda is a presentation by Rafaelita McKenzie, Senior Vice President for Spear Financial, Inc., concerning the 2020A and 2020B bonds. I don't know if she's out. I didn't.
You get it for him? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Rafaelita McKenzie. I'm from Spear Financial. We are the municipal advisor for the city. The city had two bond sales today. The first bond sale was the Series 2020A bonds. Catching my breath here. I'm sorry. So the Series 2020A bonds were issued for $3,665,000, and this bond issue was for vehicle replacements. Today we received a total of 5 bids. Interest rates range from 1.24% to 2.21%. The best bid was by KeyBank Capital Markets at a 1.2464% interest rate. And so these bonds go out to 2030. and remain unchanged. So we went out for $3,665,000. This morning we took bids, and at the time of the bid, 5 bidders submitted bids 23 times, just to show you how active the market is today and how interested these underwriters were in your bonds. And so if you go to page 2 of your packet, you will see where there's a summary bid page, and it shows that when a bidder submits a bid, they see their rank when they submit the bid, but they don't see what the actual bid is. And so if they want to improve their bid, submit a lower interest rate, which they have the chance to do. And so you have, for example, Key Bank, they submitted 8 times. And because of that improvement in the interest rate, the city was able to save an additional $19,163. And so that process is through a competitive bidding process where you have what's called an open auction sale method. So again, the underwriters are able to see their position, but not the actual bid. And if they really want to be aggressive and bid for these bonds, they can improve their interest rates. And by improving that interest rate, it really allows for the city to get that lower rate. In this case, it was a 1.24, which we thought was really phenomenal. And again, what's happening in the market here, interest rates have remained very low. We've seen where there are a couple of changes, for example, with the stimulus package and the recession. So the interest rate has been a little crazy the last couple of days with information with Trump getting sick. So we saw a little bit of shift in interest rates, but we thought with the 5 bids that we received today on the 2020 bonds, we thought that was phenomenal. And a 1.24% goes out to 2030.
That's good.
Are we doing both at the same time? Or just one? So for the Series 2020B bonds, the city went out with $5,820,000 GEO bonds Series 2020B, and this bond issue is to finance library improvements for the city. After we received the bids, we adjusted the par amount to $6,535,000. And by adjusting the par amounts, we were able to generate, with some premiums, $6.5 million, which is the net proceeds needed for the library, and the remaining to pay cost of issuance, including underwriter's discount or the fees that they charge for submitting their bid. Again, we received 4 bids for this bond issue. The debt service goes out through to 2027, so it's a little shorter than the first bond issue, 3 years shorter. And the best bid was a 1%, 1.0036. So again, we thought the interest rate was phenomenal. Interest rates range from the 1% to a 1.94 from Robert W. Baird. There were 4 bidders. Again, very active in the market. We did have a total of 15 bids. One underwriter, Key Bank, was very aggressive. That underwriter bid 11 times. But there wasn't that improvement, which created a $19,000 additional savings with the 2020A in the 2020B bond issue. But overall, we thought it was very active with a 1.24 on the 2020As and a 1% on the 2020Bs. We thought the interest rate was it's superb. When do we get a chance to see interest rates like this in the bond market? Thank you.
Any questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is mayor appointments. No appointments this evening. Next is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the following changes?
remove Council Memo 513-20, ordinances regarding the annexation and zoning of certain parcels in partial fulfillment of the pre-annexation agreement with Eastgate Logistics Park, Chicago LLC, and vote separately on Council Memos 530-20, purchase of a skid steer loader with the City of Joliet Public Works Department, Roadways Division, from Altifer Industries, Inc., in the amount of $82,500. And Council Memo 532-20, purchase of Ford F-250 pickup truck for the Department of Public Works, Sign Division, from Ron Terrapelli Ford, in the amount of $32,789.76. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I can interject here, staff is also requesting that the public hearing item 51820 continue without action and again be postponed until our next council meeting of October 20th. So you still are required to open it up and invite any comments and then close the hearing and then postpone it to that date certain.
Okay.
Is there a second? It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. And we do not have any that gave e-comments, nor do we have any that signed up, but
Mr. Mayor, Michael Hanson, may I address the council, please?
Yes, go
On
ahead.
an agenda item
Sure.
520-20. Following my presentation, Mr. Kyle Schumacher, President of Ketone Acquisitions, will also make a presentation. I thought after last night's meeting, it might be wise for the council to get a little bit more background, not only about Ketone Acquisitions and the site, but also the project at hand. I like to refer to this Ketone project as probably the hidden development gem of Joliet. I frankly don't know any other development other than the Centerpoint development that's created more economic development, more jobs, more tax dollars than this Ketone development of 262 acres. I can remember going way back when this property was owned by Material Service, and actually they did some development back then. It was sold then, if you recall, to Jack Binion. When Jack Binion bought the Empress Casino in 1999, Jack later sold the property when the casino game entirely changed in the mid 2000s, and then a series of developers attempted to develop the property for warehousing and other uses, not successfully until Mr. Schumacher bought the property a number of years ago. I'd like to read to you some of the significant developments on this property. As you can see on the map, we have a map of the property up there that shows exactly all the developments that are there currently. It also shows the site of the 800 of the proposed truck terminal facility, which we'll get to later. But I think some of these facts are very significant. Ketone donated, first of all, 20 acres of property to the city of Joliet for the Holbolt Road Bridge. Estimated value, $5 million. With no donation, no bridge, no North Point, no whatever, okay? A huge gift to the city of Joliet by Mr. Schumacher and his company. Secondly, Ketone sold 75 acres, is now the new home to Target's 1.3 million square foot facility, bringing more than 200 high-paying jobs to the area. Ketone sold 35 acres of land that's now home to the 355,000 square foot industrial building, Touchpoint Logistics. It also sold land for Extra Lease, that is a company headquarters, and the biggest development they have, GP Transco, a company headquarters. GP Transco, 40,000 square feet, employs 520 individuals and is significant economic impact to the city of Joliet. I want to make it clear to everyone here that what's before the council tonight for approval is we already have that particular site approved for trailer parking. All we're asking is to build a building, which gives real estate impact, so that we can have a truck terminal. So you've already approved the basic use already. Very simple, as I stated last night, as I stated continually, I don't believe there's a better site for this in the city of Joliet. With that, I'd like Mr. Schumacher to come up and give you a couple more comments. Kyle, please.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Appreciate your time. It's been almost 5 years since I've been coming to visit you in these evenings, and I appreciate the collective work we've done on this project. This is an important project for me, for our family, and for my company. I think through some creative problem solving, we've always worked side by side with the City of Joliet and staff to look at issues that we could help solve. One of the largest issues clearly was the traffic, and we agreed, as Mr. Hansen mentioned, to donate that land to the City of Joliet to help facilitate the Hobolt Bridge. We are very proud of this development. We brought, I think, some great opportunities to the City of Joliet that would have otherwise located somewhere else. Most recently, GP Transco spent several months, almost a year and a half, trying to locate their headquarters in a different community where they did not have a special use permit at hand. They came to Joliet because Joliet and Ketone agreed to give them the ability to put their building and their parking at that site. It's important for these users to know that they have that certainty. And just another example of GP Transco, it is a small building. This site does not lend itself well to very large buildings. That was the struggle in the past. It's a small building, but it's a very important building for them. It's 40,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet of office. It's their headquarters building. They have a basketball court, fitness center, outside recreational activities. And the users of that parking lot, and I know this is a struggle sometimes for the city to understand, the users of that parking lot, in this case, are over-the-road drivers. So they come on Monday morning, they drop off their personal vehicle in their spot, they pick up their truck, their trailer, and they could be gone for 5 days, 7 days, 10 days. They have about 60 vehicles, trucks per day on average, in and out of that facility. Extra lease, very similar. They located here because of the permits that the city and Ketone were able to offer. They've got about 23 on average trips per day. They're currently under construction. So as Mr. Hansen mentioned, we already have the ability to put trailer parking on the area that we're requesting. We just want the ability to build a building and bring some more of those good companies and users to City of Joliet. Appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to give a public comment on an agenda item? Okay, seeing none, we have council committee reports, diversity and community relations.
Yes. Let me pull up my notes here. The Diversity Committee met on the 21st of September, 4:30 here in the council chambers. We had one item on the agenda. The committee members, Councilwoman Quillman and Councilman Pat Mudron. Also in attendance was City Manager Hawk and Mayor Odekerk. Community leaders came before the committee and to make a request that the city develop a proposal for the cannabis tax funds, the tax funds that'll be generated from the cannabis sales, which sort of fits in with HR 1438. And so what their ask was that if the city will include them in developing a proposal and a plan on how those tax dollars will be used, and they would like to be a part of that development of the proposal. So the committee is now asking, in agreement with them on that, proposal that we set down and, make a plan. The other item to that was that they would like to see that those funds be put on a separate, line item, in our general budget. So that is indeed, what the full account was on that agenda item. And that is, my report.
Thank you.
Next is the Public Safety Committee.
Public Safety met earlier this evening at 5:30 in council chambers. In attendance was Councilman Hugg, Councilman Dickinson, Chief Blasky, David Brainer from IT, Deputy Chief Mark Reed, and Chief Al Rochner. On the agenda today was only the ZOL cardiac monitor defibrillators, and there is a funding grant to purchase those. I forgot the total. Chief, what was the total amount? Chief Lasky?
Was it like 270,000?
273, something.
It should be on the agenda of $276,000.
Okay, I'm in the other agenda. Okay, thank you so much. And that's grant money and the other thing, that was the only thing that we voted on the agenda unanimously, because the ones that we have are outdated, and that was through the CARES Act. And the other thing that we talked about under new business is it's called the Less Than Lethal Force Plan in the police department. And there was an internal meeting held a couple times, and it's going to be a 3-phased approach. Number one, implementation of in-car crash dash cameras will be completed by November 2020. October 19th, the Axon Enterprise Company will come and make a presentation to the pre-council about the tasers for all field officers. And the next third thing, the city will apply in March 21 for the Federal Department of Justice to grant the purchase of body cameras. There's grant money out there. And the other thing we discussed was the CAD program for dispatching, but we're moving to the Axon Records Management System to make everything easier for everyone they'll be able to talk to each other with information. Did I miss anything?
No.
That was it. And that was our report.
Yeah, Councilwoman, just one thing that needs
Yes.
to be pointed out. I know the body cameras is a trendy issue now, but you've been advocating for this and working on it for probably about a year. So thank you for your efforts on that. And again, you were ahead of the curve when it came to that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next is Public Service.
The Public Service Committee met here at City Hall in the City Council chambers yesterday, October 5th, 2020. In attendance on the committee is myself, Councilwoman Gavin, and Councilman Morris. In attendance was myself and Councilwoman Gavin. We had 4 contracts. 2 of the contracts, which are on our agenda tonight, is 530-20 and 532, which is the skid steer loader and the F-254 pickup purchase. Is coming before the council without recommendation, as there was a motion but no second to recommend one way or the other. So there is not a positive or a negative recommendation on that. Those have been removed. These are 2 that are tied into the bond being issued by the city that was discussed a little bit earlier by the representative from Spears. Also under contracts was, we're spending a little over $100,000 basically for traffic signal materials from a sole source provider. Call it attic stock, call it repair stock, call it backup stock. It's, repair parts. And then of course awarding a contract for the Mason Avenue Salem Drive roadway improvement project for 2020 to PT Farrow Construction in the amount of $627,152.89. Then there was a short list of change orders, pay estimates, and several final payments that we did vet and look through. And as I said, the only two items are 530-20 and 532-20 that come without recommendation. All the other items on the Public Service Committee were unanimously approved to be sent to the full council with committee recommendation for approval. Did I miss anything, Betty?
No.
Okay. Well, then that would be my report, Mayor.
Thank you.
I show no other reports. Consent agenda, approval of the minutes. It is recommended the minutes of the special meeting held on August 25th, 2020 for alternate water source, and the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on September 14th, 2020, and the minutes of the council meeting held on September 15th, 2020 stand approved as recorded. Council Memo 509-20, position vacancies. It is recommended the city manager be authorized to fill one roadways engineer in the Public Works Department, one building assets supervisor, and one building safety inspector, both in the Community Development Department, along with any subsequent vacancies which may occur. Council Memo 510-20 is regular payroll for July 17th through July 30th, 2020, $3,487,034.34. Council Memo 511-20, regular payroll for July 31st through August 13th, 2020, $3,397,030.03. It is recommended said regular payrolls be approved. Council Memo 512-20 is the 2021 roadway reconstruction program. It is recommended this program be approved. Council Memo 513-20 was previously removed from the agenda. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
So moved.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is licenses and permit applications. Council Memo 515-20, issuance of a Class C liquor license at 1509 Plainfield Road, Twin Door Package Liquor. It is recommended Twin Door Package Liquor be issued a Class C liquor license.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is Council Memo 516-20, and that is the issuance of a Class C liquor license at 600 East Jackson Street, L Patron Mart and Liquor. It is recommended L Patron Mart and Liquor be issued a Class C liquor license.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the public hearing. So we have Council Memo 518-20 was the proposed Rock Run Crossing redevelopment project, area tax increment financing district eligibility study and redevelopment plan and project. This item was opened at a previous meeting and continued to today. Staff is recommending that we open the hearing and continue it to the October 20th, 2020 council meeting. So any comments would be in order.
Again, this is open. If anyone wants to comment on this agenda item.
Hello, my name is Rachel Ventura. I'm here speaking on behalf of being a Will County board member. As you know, a TIF is a 23-year tax abatement. So this puts a bigger burden on our working families. So this area, which is being called blighted, is at the intersection of 80 and 55. This is one of the most sought after areas in the entire United States. More traffic goes through here, including 3.65% of our GDP product runs through these freeways. To say this is a blighted area is an overstatement by many standards. This was also, the Troy Elementary School did vote this down. I don't know if that has changed to date, but those are school districts that primarily really take a hit when we pass TIF areas. So not only is this not a blighted area, to put a mall here where we cannot guarantee that all of the jobs there would be living wage jobs, is to basically steal from our taxpayers. The additional burden that our school districts are going to have is going to be placed on homeowners, which means an increase in property taxes. On top of that, we are dealing with COVID. So I'm sure you guys are looking at your budgets now. You know how much the sales tax has been affecting our budgets. And so we don't know what the uncertainty is going to be, especially when the federal government and our state lift things like the eviction, or it stops with the CARES or HEROES money. What does that mean for our local government? So I would hope that you would take all of these things in consideration and ask you to vote no on this TIF. The capital plan that the state passed already put in a lot of funding to redo this intersection. To then turn this money over to the developer who stands to make $12 million is a mistake. The working families here in Joliet really do need the help of our council to represent them. So I'm asking you once again to vote no to this TIF. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak on this? Okay.
Is there a motion to continue the public hearing to the October 2020 council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve, so it will be continued and brought back to the October 20th, 2020 council meeting. Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Gavin, I'm sorry.
You can only vote once.
Now we see your secret weapon, Dan.
Right.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
and then Councilman Morris, all right, goodness sakes, Councilman Mudron, I'm sorry.
Aye.
And motion carried. Next are ordinances. And the first ordinance that we have is Council Memo 520-20, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a truck parking and maintenance facility or truck terminal located at 3350 Shanahan Road.
Mayor?
Yes.
Before we move forward too, and I do appreciate the comments made by the attorney and the developer. If we could hear from Kendall on this matter, I think it's important to hear probably from the staff. There he is.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, what you have before you is a ordinance approving a special use permit for truck parking and maintenance facility. I think we had a presentation from the project attorney earlier. There was discussion on this item last night in relationship to the pilot, and that's payment in lieu of taxes program that we're currently working on. There was a question about the whether or not the pilot was ready to come forward. And there's been some discussion at the staff level in terms of taking that back through the process with the Economic Development Committee, as well as taking the language to the Land Use and Legislative Committee, and then on to the Plan Commission. So that is in motion, and it's at the pleasure of the council to either vote for approval or denial of this matter tonight, or you can wait until the pilot program has gone through the process.
Kendall, to be clear, as has gone through our committee preliminarily, it will go through the legislative. In addition to establishing a pilot, it's also establishing zones of where the city would prefer to have these, if they in fact were to approve. And I think Derek might be very familiar with that portion of it. And the timetable I understand on finalizing is probably by the end of November. And talking to Derek that, we'll go through the next Economic Development Committee, then it will be scheduled with the, and we can't predict, we can suppose, but we can't predict what the final product will look as far as zoning and all that. And again, it's just a matter of the city doing it right. It's a delay in voting it up or down. And, you know, I'm not gonna predict whether it would win or lose tonight. I think I know what it would, you know, probably would. But it's a delay until we have that in the governing new policy in place. And we're looking probably by the end of November, right?
That is correct. So we can put a schedule together that would have this going to the Plan Commission after the Economic Development Committee consideration and then the Land Use and Legislative Committee consideration. And then going to the Plan Commission by their meeting in November, which is mid-November. And then it would come forward to the City Council at the end of November.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Mike. With this mid-November delay, would that hamper the project?
Yes, it would, Mayor. There is really no logical reason to delay the approval of this project. If I can address those two quick matters, we've agreed to pay the pilot fee. We all realize that we don't know what that is. The committees are going to vent it again. They've already been venting this pilot fee for 6 months or more. So let them take some more time. That's fine. We're going to pay the fee. As to the zoning, I happen to agree with Mr. Hug as to the question of, does the city need to understand where these things are going? That's great. But there is no better place for this development than the city of Joliet, and these 8 council people are more than qualified to make that decision themselves as to whether they want this truck terminal at that location this evening. We don't need to vet that for this location before a special committee. So, yes, Mayor, we are asking it to be approved tonight over any objections of any council people, and we would like the council to consider our action, so.
Mayor, I'm not sure where the delay comes in unless I've got bad information here. So the petitioner is requesting a special use permit in order to allow a truck parking and maintenance facility or truck terminal for a future unknown user. So it doesn't seem like there would be a delay. It's you know, they want to open it up that somebody might develop it, and we can't put a single individual ahead of the proper procedure. We decide, and Mr. Hanson is right. We decide, but we haven't decided as a policy. If we weren't doing a policy, and actually there's a lot of policies that need to be established so there's not inside baseball rules in the city anymore. Right. If we weren't doing a policy, then this wouldn't be a question. With that said, I would make a motion to table until we finish up with the process.
Is there a second?
I would have to second that because I agree. We've done so many things in the past, and this just to make it right. I'm not against the project at all by any means, so don't take it as against it. But I do think that we need to get the policy in place and then move forward, and especially since there's nobody going to develop there right away anyway, by your own admission. So I would second that.
So it's been motioned and seconded to table Council Memo 520-20. Councilwoman Reardon,
No.
Councilman Turk,
No.
Councilman Dickinson,
No.
Councilwoman Gavin,
No.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
and then Councilman Mudrin,
No.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
So the motion failed. 5 noes to 2 ayes. So is there
It's
a
only
motion
7
to approve ordinance for the special use? Council Memo 520-20.
So moved.
Second.
Excuse me. Pauline, could you repeat what you just said, please?
So the motion is to recommend the said ordinance be adopted. And it was, so Council Memo 520-20, the ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a truck parking and maintenance facility or truck terminal located at 3350 Shanahan Road. And then it was motioned by Councilwoman Reardon and then seconded by Councilwoman Gavin.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And first is Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
I would think, and maybe as a committee of economic development might consider, canceling any, apparently, the majority will of this council, which I respect as a democratic institution, doesn't believe or respect procedures and policies. So I don't know why they're making us meet to do this. You can't bake a cake while you're still trying to create the ingredients and what you need to put into it. So I don't see the responsibility in that, and I'll vote no.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
No.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
motion carried.
Pauline, one thing I would add, I'm glad you brought up GP Transco. That's a story that probably, definitely hasn't been told enough here in Joliet. That is the 4th corporate headquarters that has relocated to Joliet or opened in Joliet in the last 5 years. Mike, you've been around a long time, and you too, Mike Turk. I don't think there's ever been a period in the city's history where we had 4 separate corporate headquarters open inside Joliet.
Mayor, you're entirely correct, along with the extra lease next door, international headquarters, I should add. And I also want to pay special mention to you for all that you did to ensure that those company headquarters came to Joliet. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And, we hear a lot about temp jobs, but that's not even close to the full story about what's happening in Joliet. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Next is Council Memo 521-20, ordinance prohibiting the use of groundwater as a potable water supply by the installation or use of potable water supply wells or by the other method within certain territory. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye?
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is Council Memo 522-20, ordinance of the City of Joliet, Will and Kendall Counties, Illinois, providing for the issuance of general obligation bonds, Series 2020A, and general obligation bonds, Series 2020B, providing the details of such bonds and for a levy of taxes sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on such bonds and related matters. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
What you had in your packet was ordinance, draft ordinance that didn't have the numbers in them yet. As our financial advisor told you, it was a pretty long day and we didn't get the numbers in until later. I have emailed the council and the deputy city clerk the final ordinance with the numbers plugged in. However, you did get your packet today with all the numbers in there and a PDF document. So none of the numbers have changed, just the final ordinance. We finally got that about 10 minutes ago. So that ordinance is complete at this point.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Again, this is something we should visit when we have more facts. Apparently tonight's the night when we don't need facts and we can't wait and have the patience to do things reasonably. So I will vote no.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
No.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
I'm going to vote aye, and I'd like to thank Senator McGuire for securing the grant for the library bonds.
and Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-2. Next, we have resolutions. Council Memo number 524-20, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant from from the Will County Stormwater Planning Committee for the East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant Rain Garden and Bioretention Basin Project in the amount of $15,000. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is Council Memo 525-20, a resolution authorizing the release of executive session minutes. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. And then next is Council Memo 526-20, resolution appropriating motor fuel tax funding for the Mason Avenue Salem Drive Roadway Improvement Project 2020, MFT section number 20-005, 26-00-FP in the amount of $407,748.89. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. And next is Council Memo 527-20, resolution approving IDOT statewide planning and research grant application. It is said, it is recommended that said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. And next we have bids and contracts, and we have awarded contracts. Council Memo 529-20, approval to use CARES Act funding through Will County for the purchase of 9 Zoll cardiac monitor defibrillators through Zoll Medical Corporation in the amount of $276,654.06. Then Council Memo 30 will be voted on separately.
Move to approve.
And Council,
Oh, you're gonna do them all together?
yep, sorry, I got a
Okay,
whole list
sorry.
of them. Council Memo 531-20 will also be voted on separately. So Council Memo 533-20 is award of contract for the 2020 traffic signal materials purchase order to Traffic Control Corporation in the amount of $100,201. Council Memo 534-20, award a contract for the Mason Avenue Salem Drive Roadway Improvement Project 2020. MFT section number 20-00526-00-FP to PT Farrow Construction Company in the amount of $627,152.89. It is recommended Council memos 529-20, 531-20, 533-20, and 534-20 be approved.
Mayor, clarification, 530 and 532 have been set aside for individual votes. And I think that if I heard right, you mentioned 531, but that should be part of this group of votes too. That's just the Microsoft license and services.
Yep, I'm sorry. Yep.
So has that been
I'm
included in
sorry,
this?
yep. Council memo 31, yes, I'm sorry. Council memo 531-20 is award a contract for Microsoft licensing services, and it should be included in the current motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye?
Councilman Medren,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Motion carried. And then next is Council Memo 530-20. And that is a purchase a skid steer loader for the City of Joliet Public Works Department, Roadways Division from Altifer Industries, Inc. in the amount of $82,500. It is recommended Council Memo 530-20 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Just to be clear, as Popeye's buddy Wimpy would say, I would gladly pay you for a hamburger today, next Tuesday. I certainly would have a different vote on this after we settle with our finances that we have no idea what's going to happen over the next year and a half, so I'll vote no.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
I'll have to vote no for now. So we look at the finances as well.
and then Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
and Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-2. And then next is Council Memo 532-20, purchase a Ford F-250 pickup truck for the Department of Public Works Sign Division from Ron Terrapelli Ford in the amount of $32,789.76. It is recommended Council Memo 532-20 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
No.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Well, I'd like to be conservative here, so I'm gonna have to vote no on this one as well, until we see further what our budget's gonna look like. Can always revisit it, but I'm sure it's gonna pass tonight anyway, so.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-2. Next is amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 536-20, approve payment for ViewWorks Asset Management Annual Hosting, Maintenance, and Technical Support to Data Transfer Solutions in the amount of $70,000. Council Memo 537-20, approve change order number 4 in the amount of $3,216.12. And payment number 19 and final in the amount of $32,792.88 for the 2018 Electrical Maintenance Assistance Contract to Van Mack Electric Company. Council Memo 538-20, approve payment for hazardous tree removals and debris removal due to the storm of August 10th, 2020 to various contractors in the amount of $174,537. Council Memo 539-20, approve change order number 6 for the Rock Run and West Park Interceptor Rehabilitation Project in the amount of a negative $32,795. Council Memo 540-20, approve change order number 9 for the 2018 Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation Program to Michaels Corporation in the amount of $10,030. It is recommended Council Memos 536-20 through 540-20 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager report.
Mayor and members of council, just one thing, a reminder that next week, Monday, is Columbus Day. City Hall will be closed. However, the solid waste pickup will continue throughout the city that day. There will be no delay. And then I just have a request for closed session.
New business not for final action or recommendation.
Nothing.
What could have happened in 24 hours for another closed session? I just want to make a quick comment that I want to thank Councilwoman Quillman. As you had pointed out earlier, it actually might be a little bit, Mayor, might be a little bit more than a year that she really dug her teeth into the body cam issue, and it's been a money issue. I know she also reached out and dealt with, I think, Congressman Foster's staff you did, is that a month and a half ago?
Yeah, about 8 weeks ago.
Okay, and I understand that there might be some funding, which makes it, which will make some of the people in the audience happy, so thank you for sinking your teeth into it and taking the lead on this.
Thank you, Council. No.
Mike? Pat? Sherry?
No. Yes, Mayor, thank you. I've got a couple of things. Also wanted to bring up the issue about the alley closure over in the Cunningham area. I went over to that area when the alley was closed back in 2012 by request from the residents, and it was reopened without the residents' knowledge. We went back and I presented City Manager Hawk with 15 petitions of residents who wanted the alley closed again. And so I understand that we in the Public Service Committee will look at policy, but I do believe that these residents, after 8 years, and they did exactly what the city required them to do with the petition, that they be grandfathered in. We will look at the petition, at the policy, draft the policy, but I do think that this issue needs to be, this alley needs to be closed back again per the residents' request.
Mayor, if I may reply, please. Public Works already has a draft policy for the committee to review at their next meeting and get it on as quickly as next agenda.
Okay. But I think that this...
Can I add something?
Sure.
I want to interrupt you. Yeah, one of the issues here is I know of other alleys where neighbors wanted to close, specifically on the east side of Joliet, where they had police reports taken. In one of the alleys, Betty, in your neighborhood, the gangbangers were trying to burn down garages and were throwing eggs and bottles at people. And city staff told those people on the east side that to do that, the alley had to be vacated and they had to purchase the alley from the city. So, that's fundamentally unfair if you're telling one group of people on the east side of town they have to pay for an alley, and then someone else, maybe because they're connected, maybe politically, gets their alley closed for free on the west side. So I'm glad we're gonna have a policy, Jim, that's completely, that's not the way we should be doing business. So thank you for bringing that up, Eddie, and thank you for taking that to committee, Jim.
Okay, may I respond just to that? Because what I did not know or do not have in record is about those alleys. we have been vacating alleys on the east side because the city has been saying, no, they're not gonna take care of them. The ones that we do have, that people have purchased some of those, so I would love to know where those are.
Sure.
And in the policy that we develop, it's got to be clear that once that alley is vacated, that it is owned by the members who signed on to vacate it. So that way, you know, once you vacate the alley, it's owned by you, so all the maintenance and everything else should be handled by them. Okay.
We also have to make it clear that liability is gonna go along with that, and that the property taxes are gonna go up.
Exactly.
So they need to be fully informed of what they're getting into, and not hoodwinked by, you know, one individual with an agenda. You gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. We have to make that clear.
Thank you.
So I just have a question then, Mayor.
Yes.
Would that become a special service area then? If you're gonna start, do people take that alley over and they are responsible with the taxes? Because I remember that detention pond over in Parkwood years ago, people wanted it, they didn't wanna take care of it, no one was taking care of it, and so there were 8 family members that came to us and became a social, or not social, but a special service area, and then all the folks agreed to the tax increase. So would that be the same thing?
Well, typically, in an alley vacation or any property vacation, oftentimes you recall we have homes that we demolish and then they come back to the city, and then we offer to the homeowners on each side half of the property and do an estimate on what it would cost, and typically they, you know, it's nominal value, but they understand that they now take ownership and responsibility and pay taxes on that property. Same would apply to the vacation of an alley. Everybody, property, the width of their back property going into the alley would go halfway, and they would be responsible for maintenance and taxes on the property. And I can have the Public Works Director create a list of alleys that we've abandoned historically that we have record of and what we've done.
Well, just to follow up with it, I have received complaints in the past where the alleys have been vacated, but only a couple people take care of the alley. Other people just use it as a dumping grounds. So how do you get around that problem?
Neighborhood Services receives complaints about dumping,
I know,
and people
but-
are responsible for maintaining, it becomes part of their yard.
I understand, but just saying that.
Mayor, just, you know, and apparently I've not seen it yet, so there's a preliminary policy that the Public Service Committee will vet and make recommendation. But there's some interesting questions raised. I think that we have to make sure everybody understands, be careful what you ask for and what you're biting off. So areas that have gravel, or in this case, you know, some of them, in some cases, they have asphalt, that's gonna deteriorate over the years once it's vacated. And when it turns into mud during the rainy season, and they spin their tires and they get stuck in mud, the city won't, you know, after a vacation, won't rectify that. And also, because vacation awards half of the width of their back lot to each of the bordering, right? Can they prohibit people further up from the closed lot from saying you can't go across my personal property now?
Certainly, that's why you really need unanimous consent, because in a lot of alleys, some people have converted their garages so that the garage door faces the front street and they've got a driveway, but there are those that still have only alley access to their garage.
Well, but, you know, and if you have unanimous consent today, I just want to get this in people's minds as they weigh in on this subject. It doesn't mean when you sell the houses, the new owner will agree with that consent. And if the owner at the opening of a closed alley decides to put a fence up on his portion of that property, stopping all traffic from the rest of them, he can do that at that point because he owns it through vacation, right?
Sure.
So I guess tonight, the only thing that's before us is whether we should wait until a committee vets the procedure and establishes a procedure, or whether we should grant something before the procedure is done.
Thank you, Betty.
Well, from what the city offered and these particular residents that are on Cora and Center, out of the 20 residents that were there, I believe that they understand that their request back in 2012 meant that they owned that part, or it was accessed off to them. The city told them at that time that 50% of more, 50 plus 1% of the major residents that are there, that have been there all this time, I think only one resident moved away, but they are wanting their alley closed back again. The city asked sent a survey, correct? And then they filled that first survey out. I went out last Saturday, a week ago, to initiate the second survey explaining everything that I understood. And they sent back the surveys of, yes, they want the alley closed. So the only thing that they did request outside of that, I think there's one gentleman that's on the corner that has an electric chair, that he just wanted the post moved back just a little bit so he can access his garbage can. And that was the only thing. So that's where we are.
Okay, well, I like Jim's idea of taking it to committee and getting a policy that is fair for everybody in the city, not just certain people. Anything else, Betty?
No, not on that.
Next is public comments. First is Ariana Schuler.
Hello, my name is Ariana Schuler. I'm a longtime Joliet resident. So first, I would like to say that I'm not, nor have I ever been, affiliated with the Will County Progressives or any one specific group. The 13-point police reform proposals that was given to you guys a few months ago was a collaborative effort between private citizens and the Will County Progressives. So I'm here for several reasons. First, I'm here for Eric Lurie, his family, and his wife. We need police reform and police accountability now. His wife and his family are still hurting deeply, and they deserve to get justice. Again, we need police reform now. I hope we can continue to talk about an independent civilian oversight body. I think it's important in bridging that gap between our police and the citizens of Joliet. Another important issue to me is that we establish a team of mental health professionals and social workers that can work with law enforcement in certain situations. By certain situations, I mean someone who may be having a mental health issue, like someone with schizophrenia who's having a break with reality, who needs medical care and compassion. Another issue could be, say, someone with autism, someone who is nonverbal, who again needs medical care and compassion. They don't need a police officer, even if they're well-meaning. They don't need a police officer. Say a person with autism or who is nonverbal does not need a police officer, say, yelling at them, barking orders at them, when that person really needs adequate medical care. not a police officer. Let's see. Sorry. Other situations where we need mental health professionals available is in cases of suicide prevention and overdose, among so many others. There are a variety of issues regarding mental health that I believe mental health professionals can take on, as opposed to police officers that might not be properly trained to handle. Sorry about that. Lastly, I think it's very important that we require random drug testing for our police officers, and that those random drug tests are done frequently, not just up to 4 times a year, as I believe the chief of police said in this room just about a month ago or so. And of course, I think concrete consequences need to be put in place for an officer who tests positive.
That's fine. Thank you, ma'am. You're at the 4-minute mark. Thank you.
Next is Jonathan Marquardt.
Good evening, and thank you for the time. I'll first preface my comment with some clarity. The proposals that I mentioned on police reform reference a document that was discussed in August at a joint committee meeting, and it was written by a group collaborative of citizens, non-organized, as well as people that associate with Will County Progressives in our resolution. However, whatever I do go ahead and express here tonight may or may not or will not reflect what Will County Progressives or our revolution may or may not be pursuing with the council, and I am not at present a significant member of either organization. First, I'd like to say that I've lived in this town for 24 years, and I do love it here. I'm proud of the city even when it's very hard to be, and I want to see it thrive, and I want good things to happen for it. The proposals that we talked about are entirely things that I think are good for the city. I want to just talk about a few of them. The first thing that I see significantly improving police and citizen relations in town is the start of some sort of civilian oversight committee with some manner of say-so on JPD matters via recommendation powers. I believe that this commission should be informed by 2 things, primarily a frequently commissioned survey on police interactions and presence in the community, as well as a complete accessibility to records regarding police officer discipline and uses of force to whatever the fullest extent of the law is. So that committee should be able to receive whatever records they can as soon as the law allows. From what I have seen in local government, I'm pretty well separated for what actually does happen with JPD, and that there is a police union that does have a lot more say-so on the issues than the citizens do. I personally don't want my local government to be beholden to any organization other than the citizens themselves. And I think that the best way for us to be involved is simply to be involved. If this commission does arise, I will gladly be a part of it. I also do think that more accountability in policing needs to be enacted. In addition to recommendations made by this proposed oversight body, one hard and fast rule regarding suspension warranting offenses that ultimately results in some sort of termination needs to be put in place. I do believe firmly that such a rule will dissuade bad cops from being bad and will keep good cops at their jobs. And I would also like to echo Ms. Schuler's comments about a mental health officer. Because knowing people that have struggled with anxiety issues, if they are having some sort of meltdown and they have resorted to some sort of self-harm to cope with that in that situation, but they do have a moment of clarity and decide to call for some sort of emergency service, having a police officer show up to that door may provoke more anxiety than they were already dealing with. So having somebody else, maybe not a police officer, show up to situations like that might help that person in a crisis more than present. Because I do know people in that experience that have experienced just that. They've had a police officer show up to the door and they've been worse for wear over time because of the reaction that happened at the door when they opened it than they would have been if maybe a social worker or an EMS worker might have been at the door. So I do think that all of these things should be reviewed, and I do hope that things work out the way that they should be. I am very happy with what I've heard regarding funding from the senator and his people, as well as body cams and dash cams, and I just want the best for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Christina Beal.
Good evening. Thank you for the time. My name is Christina, and I am a long-term resident of Will County. I'm here on behalf of our revolution to discuss police reforms that I think are necessary to increase the safety of both the citizens of Joliet as well as the JPD. We believe that the police budget should be decreased by 20%, and then that money should be diverted to the different community organizations that could use that money to good use. We also believe that, as Jonathan said, there should be a community oversight board to hold the JPD accountable, and that oversight board should survey the community as well as have access to disciplinary history, and that disciplinary history should be made public if possible. And we should also have a team of mental health workers and social workers to be the first responders in case of suicide intervention, overdose, and other mental health crises, and require the use of body cameras for all police officers. I'm encouraged to hear the work that's being done on that front. On a personal note, I think that something that's often overlooked in this conversation is that police officers have long been expected to front the burden of many roles in the community. Often they're asked to intervene on mental health crises that they may not have the training or background for, and they may not be the best trained or best occupation to intervene in behalf of. They are required to respond to overdoses when a EMS or other medical professional may be the best to respond in that situation. They're often asked to intervene when a child or other minor is having a crisis, when perhaps a social worker would be the best in that situation. And by diverting some of the budget of the JPD to organizations that can support those communities, perhaps we could take some of that burden off of the police department. Also by providing them with body cameras and with a disciplinary and oversight committee, we will be providing them support by removing bad actors and leaving the police who are doing a good job without having to look behind them to see who is there to support them in the job that they're doing. So, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
Susanna Navarro.
Hello. How's everyone tonight? I just want to say that the city council is so afraid of offending police officers in the police department that you won't even consider the proposals. And what is best for us is to have a police force that protects and serves. What we have here today is a city council that is held hostage to the bloated police bureaucracy with no interest in holding them accountable to the people. So of the 12 pending Joliet federal lawsuits filed by, and these are all Joliet police federal lawsuits, 4 of them were from inside the police department. And so we could save the taxpayers a lot of money with some of these police reform proposals, particularly the body cams. So wonderful that Jan has moved forward. If she was working on this for more than a year, she would have known about the federal grant that myself a private citizen found out about, she missed the mark, and the city has missed the mark completely, because as of 2018, 58% of all law enforcement agencies had body cams. You're not ahead of anything, you're way behind on all of that. And a conversation that I had with the mayor, where he did let me know they're about 20 years behind in training and techniques. So 20 years ago, police forces updated their training techniques, and the Joliet Police Department did not do that. So I really hope you'll take this seriously. I am the chair of Our Revolution Illinois. Standing here, I may be one woman. I represent 40,000 people in the state of Illinois, and I was elected by a group of my peers and leaders to do that. So what I would like to say is, when we refer to the proposal, we are referring to the 8, which I emailed to everyone, including the city manager and the mayor. Well, private citizens would love to wave their wand and make anything happen. Realistically, the Will County Progressive sat down, took all of the input, watched the meetings again and again, and went to a set of 8 basic proposals that, according to law, probably very agreeable. Any reasonable person would think that these would easily pass. So we love to say exactly what they can and cannot do. It's just not all possible at all. So let me just end with this. A lot of fodder has been made that personal invitations are not given out by this council, but I just want to say this, that is not true.
Is that your comment, ma'am?
I'm not done.
Your mics are shut off. We're not gonna do this.
So
If they make a comment, you can make a comment.
you do give personal invitations.
Take a seat, please,
to
if you're done
private
with your comment.
citizens. No, this is my 4 minutes and I'm not done. You do give personal, and will you think that you're able to tell me what I can and cannot say? My First Amendment rights guarantee me this time. There is no ordinance you can put. This is a recommendation here. This is not an ordinance. You said there was an ordinance, and that's also not true. There is no ordinance. That's a recommendation. However, my First Amendment rights guarantee me the right to say whatever I want to say. And what I would like to know, with all due respect, is since whenever does someone get elected by all of us, and then we can't come up here and say what we would like to say?
Thank you.
Next is Vicky Asbury.
I would have to agree with this young woman. My grandson was Xavier Mendoza, who was brutally assassinated, and Will County contaminated the scene, as seen on video by Robert Hernandez. They opened the door at least twice, not once, but twice, with no gloves. They leaned on the car with no gloves and used it as a seat. My son is Joseph Asbury Butler, and I'm sure you've heard of him if you read the newspapers. They want to accuse him of shooting up at a place the kid can't even see, so I know it wasn't him. I just want to say that when it comes to reform, you put all 3 of these boys in. One's listed as white, one's listed as Mexican, and one's listed as black. There is a great disparity between the white and the Mexican and the black. The white one and the white Mexican one are brothers, full-blooded brothers. And his bond was only $1,000 higher than my son's. I had a son that was full-blooded white. He took down 5 Will County cops and didn't even get a citation because he was drunk. So I think reform needs to be done. And when my son was in Will County, they assaulted him and sprained his wrist and his fingers. We took him straight out of Will County and took him straight to the hospital. And I'm mad because people should not be treated like that. You should have cameras on every officer inside and out. I don't care if you're in a jail or if you're patrolling the streets. It's not fair to abuse another person. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Next is Cesar Guerrero.
Hello, my name is Cesar Guerrero. I'm a resident of Francis Street, Joliet, Illinois, 60432. I had quite a few things prepared to say, but I think the people who have spoken before me really have said everything that I like to say. And I know, given our last interaction, that the council frowns upon repetitive comments. So I'd just like to reiterate that I do think the implementation of a Citizens Oversight Committee is likely the most direct and simplest way to achieve what we're trying to get to. By now, you've heard from many different voices who have had their own takes, different interpretations on what police reform means. Again, I can only speak for myself, so I can only really speak to my own lived experience. And what I can say is that at the moment, there is very little trust in the police department from everybody that I know personally. The police is seen as an institution that is meant to generate revenue, an institution that has unfairly targeted minority communities. And I think that any discussion of police reform should ultimately work towards the end goal of reestablishing that trust between the community and the police. Any police department cannot deliver justice if it does not have the trust of the same community that it is serving. By now, you've heard the personal stories of many community members. I know myself, I've been pulled over in my own driveway for no reason. I wasn't given any charges. I wasn't issued a citation, nothing. By now, you've heard plenty of stories that pales in comparison to what others have gone through. And I only ask that in this entire process, in this entire discussion, that we work towards that end goal of reestablishing that trust between the community and the police. When I speak of police reform, I don't think of abolishing the police. That's not my end goal. I understand that police are necessary. I know that we have a need for them. I just want to be able to trust them. There are far too many people who refuse to cooperate with investigations, who hesitate or don't call the police at all when a crime has been committed because they feel that there is no point. They feel that the police are not there to serve them. They feel that the police are not there to protect them. So why would they ever bother to call someone? There is an immense apathy, an immense feeling of despair, and all of this has to be, there must be some solution to this. We have to repair that broken relationship, and I think everything has already been said. So I'll end my time early. I just ask that you hear all of the voices who have come, whether expressing their concerns, and I really do hope that the Citizens Oversight Committee can be implemented as a first step among many in repairing this broken relationship. Thank you.
Next is Megan Cooper.
Megan Cooper, Joliet. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here this evening to speak on a few issues. At the September 14th City Council meeting, after I sat down from providing my public comment, Mr. Mayor, you asked a question regarding who told me that Joliet was one step away from bankruptcy. Respectfully, it was you during an interview that you did with WJOL in April. This is why I referenced your statements about the city going broke and challenging the removal of the $2.5 million cap on the water and sewer economic incentives for the Forbes listed loves. Also, Mr. Regis stated on September 15th at the City Council meeting right before the vote that in fact that he had spoken with Loves and that they still believe that the cost would be approximately $2.5 million. Which brings me to my next thing. No one on this city council bothered to ask, well, why are we removing the cap anyway? If the expected cost was still supposed to be around $2.5 million. This is really concerning. It doesn't make any sense, and something isn't right about this. So next, Mr. Mayor, at the end of the September 15th City Council meeting, in the closing remarks, you mentioned all the development that you and certain City Council members have brought to the east side of Joliet. However, I believe that you were referring to the south side of Joliet, which you, the Warehouse 5, Larry Huggs, Sherry Reardon, Pat Maldron, Jan Quillman, and you, Mr. Mayor. What you have brought to the south side of Joliet? Warehouses, truck stops, truck terminals, a drug rehab facility that's right across the street from a liquor store. Oh, and let's not to mention the trucks that is around our Joliet Park District building that we have there. 53 on one side, truck parking right across the street. The road for the main entrance, used by a multitude of trucks right now, but is actually slated to maybe become an official truck route. Thank you on behalf of the residents on the south side and their kids for actually thinking about them. No matter how strong our arguments are, it shows that you clearly don't care. Why is this? Because none of you actually live on the south side of Joliet? I mean, so the trucks that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't bother you because you don't have to deal with the things that we have to deal with trucks being welcomed onto our local roads. And I can't speak for all of City Council, but I'm saying this for some of City Council. You just clearly do not care. So what would bring you to the south side of Joliet? A romantic night, maybe taking a bike ride up at North Point on their bike trail, and then later grabbing a hot dog, Chicago style, at Love's. Is that why? But you have clearly shown that the Warehouse 5, you do not care about the south side of Joliet. Thank you.
Next is Jerry Hervey.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Jerry Hervey, lifelong Joliet resident. So I'm asking the council as a whole, has there been some closed door discussion about the Socha case? And if so, Ms. Gavin, are you still involved in those discussions? Because I thought we made it clear to you, Darrell Gavin he is mentioned as a defendant in that lawsuit. You don't need to be involved in anything involving the police department. All of your decision making is based on slowly protecting people who are doing something wrong. We've asked you time and time again to separate yourself from these conversations, and you continue to engage in them. Why? You don't think that that's a conflict of interest that you have? Whether he's directly related to you, it is a family issue. You do not need to be involved in anything involving the police department because your judgment is clouded. You don't think the citizens of this city got a right to know the officers' names who are costing us millions of dollars for their misconduct? You tell me how you sitting in that seat is in the best interest of our city or the community. Just yesterday, the federal government just blasted the Joliet Police Department for how they are handling the racism, the misconduct, and everything in that police department. Has anybody paid attention to that? And the city manager, what are you going to do about this? Is your intention just to sit here until December, get paid your money, and leave without correcting the problem? This is costing us millions of dollars, and you have yet to you have done anything to correct it. Then you went a step further and had a meeting with the progressive team and blamed everything going on in the city on the mayor. How is that his fault? because the police are not acting appropriately. They are costing us millions of dollars. When you have the problem to get rid of the chief and his staff, every last one of them are named in lawsuits. And that lawsuit from yesterday involving Dave Jackson is going to be upwards of $1 million. What are you going to do to settle it? Y'all kicking around these numbers and nothing's going right, but nobody is saying, hey, what are we going to do to stop the police and make them act accordingly? Why are we spending millions of dollars on lawsuits, misconduct, sexual misconduct, everything you can name of, and nobody's being held accountable? That is not his fault that the police are not acting accordingly. You have the power to correct it. What have you done? Because they gave you a healthy amount of money to come here and help fix a problem. What have you done? Ms. Gavin's still involved, no matter what we say to you about representing the people, not doing certain things. You're still fighting tooth and nail to hide all of this misconduct from the people. What makes you think it is okay to do that? That's all I got for you for right now, but this is not going away anytime soon. So I asked you a while ago, what were you going to do to correct the problem and the misconduct in the police department? Are we just gonna act like it don't exist? And the lawsuits, settling the lawsuits is $1 million plus. What about the lawyer fees associated with it? Because I'm seeing lawsuits on the books from 4 or 5 years ago. And these people are constantly billing y'all saying, hey, this is the billing for us handling this lawsuit. That's not even financially sound. So I want to know, what are you going to do about handling this problem? And how is that his fault that they are not acting accordingly? Everything going on in the city is not his fault. We got 8 other city council members who constantly, I sat here tonight, 5-2, 5-3, it's always the same 5 voting together. So what are y'all going to do? You know, we keep coming down here, and Don, you got caught in a really nasty situation. So I don't think you need to wait until April to resign. You need to resign now. You've been caught up in some really nasty text messages, racially insensitive and sexually insensitive. Have you made your colleagues aware of what you've been involved in? Because you made a tactful plan that you were going to run for the mayor's seat and you needed a black girlfriend to win that seat. Is that what a black woman is worth to you?
Time's up, Mr. Hurley. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment?
You step up.
You guys need to do something about, my name is Gina Desmond. I used to live in Joliet for many years. The reason I moved out was because the police harassing me. My son was just recently murdered over in the Ingles Park murder. The police contaminated the evidence. They're not doing anything. We have told them about who did it, but it is their snitch and his little friends that have done it. We have showed them that. We have told them about that, and they have done nothing about that. Then just recently, not even 72 hours ago, Will County Police Department attacked my 23-year-old sister for recording her behind a police line of the cops attacking another woman and her 14-year-old son. They punched her 14-year-old son in the chest. This is on Facebook Live, you guys. Facebook Live. Will County Police Department punched a 14-year-old in his chest. That could have been one of your nephews, your grandkids, or your children. And when the cop was asked why he did it, his response was, he should have had his ass at home in bed. We need to do something about these police, and we seriously need to start helping people. I moved out because I was scared for myself, and now my son's gone because of these cops. My sister was just attacked for trying to help someone else because they attacked a minor, a 14-year-old child. That is not right. I know you guys all have a heart. It could have been your child. How would you feel if it was your grandchild that got punched in the chest by an officer? Think about that. How would it feel if it was your child whose crime scene got contaminated by an officer without gloves? We need to start taking care of the people. No one wants to talk to the police because of stuff that they do like this. I've already sued Will County Police Department and Will County Adult Detention Center twice myself, and one of them was for an illegal strip search and seizure where they had me strip in the main entrance in front of everyone, not even 10 days after I gave birth. So please look into this Will County and Joliet police reform. Please look into these body cams. Start helping the people out here. If you guys truly, truly love Joliet, start helping these people. I have been a victim. I am one of the mental health suicide patients, and someone sent the police to my house, and they were very disrespectful to me, and I started slashing my wrists even more, and my children found me that way. And the cops were very ignorant to me and my children. Or when I overdosed, the cops were very ignorant to my children when they found me, telling my children, well, it's just another dead junkie. I'm not a junkie. I left this town because of stuff like this. And I come back here to see the stuff is still going on. You guys claim you love this town. You guys claim you're proud of this town. I remember growing up when I used to be able to walk down the streets. We didn't have to worry about no cop punching a 14-year-old in the chest. Now we have to. We didn't have to worry about a cop contaminating evidence. I remember I used to go to them for help. How are you going to go to someone for help if you cannot trust them? If you are scared that they're going to harm you or your family? I just had a city official yesterday come and take a picture of my license plate, my sister's license plate, and my nephew's girlfriend's license plate. We need to do reform now. We need to save this town. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment? Seeing none, we have a request to go into closed session. Is there a motion?
My name is John Girl. Bob, I know you are aware, I know you are as well. My request is pretty simple. I was at the library last week doing some work, and Tammy, who owns the Book and Bean, did not tell me firsthand, but did find out that she doesn't pay for the Wi-Fi there. It's not covered by the city. She does pay for the Wi-Fi. And I would just ask as a request that it's included on the budget for her portion of the library to be included in the Wi-Fi. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment? Okay. So we have a request to go into closed session. Is there a motion?
We have council comments first.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, mayor and council comments. I'm sorry.
No.
Jan?
I have a couple. Please, everybody, ladies especially, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I know with the COVID issue going on, a lot of people have missed their mammograms and their annual exams. But they are taking precautions, so please get checked. Please, please, please. And second of all, I was able to attend the Joliet Fire Department award ceremony today at Jacob Henry Mansion. It was just an award ceremony with social distancing and masks. And the Exchange Club of Joliet awarded the Fireman of the Year award. But what they did was they gave it to the entire fire department. It's never been done before. And every sworn officer in the Joliet Fire Department were given the Firefighter of the Year award. So we should be very proud of our fire department. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Mike?
Nothing.
Pat? No. Sherry?
Yeah, I'd just like to take a moment to honor an individual. He was a true champion for Joliet. He passed away September 23rd, James V. Smith. He served on numerous committees, boards. He was a true leader in our community. He was an avid voter, a good man, a great Rotarian, a great businessman, smart, ethical, a true gentleman. Above all, he was a very good friend to me. and my family. And I just want to say we'll miss him. That's it.
Thank you for that, Sherry.
That's good, Sharon.
Eddie?
Yes, just a couple of comments. I'm so glad we're beginning to talk about the body cams. And I want to thank the Congressman Foster and State Representative Connor for entertaining my call and conversation on the meeting. Matter of fact, I think we had 2 meetings. And that is how we learned about the grant opportunities for the body cams. So I brought that back to City Manager Hawk, and just want Joliet to be prepared when the grant opens again, to be ready to go after those, because it's very needed in the community. We're hearing you, and I want you to know we hear you on that. The other thing, I'd just like to send a personal thanks out. I had a request or a complaint about an area that definitely needed grass cutting. It was overgrown. It was owned by the Housing Authority. And I just want to personally thank Commissioner Mays. 24 hours, it was cut and done. So, Commissioner Mays, we just want to thank you for that. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I have a few things. Sherry, I agree with you. Sympathy to Jim Smith's family. Jim was a good guy. He worked in the City Center Partnership. He worked with the Chamber. He did a lot of volunteer work in Joliet. Councilwoman Quillman, I agree with you. I was also at the Joliet Fire Department Exchange Club ceremony early this afternoon. Congratulations to the fire department. I think the Exchange Club, which does a great job in Joliet, I think nominating those first responders as a group was the right thing to do. Number 3, last week I was invited to a ribbon cutting up in Chicago on the southeast side for the North Point development. They were bringing in, the ribbon cutting was for a Ford Motor manufacturing plant. This is gonna be 1,400 union jobs, United Auto Worker jobs. This is very consistent with what we saw from North Point. Those of us that took the trip to Kansas City, where in their facility they had a General Motors plant with 450 union jobs, United Auto Worker jobs. So, we've said, the 6 of us that I think did the right thing and voted for this, have told people over and over again that the picture being painted by some in the community was not accurate. I think this is another example. 1,400 union jobs was embraced by a number of Chicago elected officials and state elected officials who were all present. And certainly for any city, I think that's a great achievement. So again, just an example, I think, of what we can expect looking forward with North Point when they come to Joliet. And then finally, we made the announcement, I'll give more details at the next meeting, but Halloween, as it stands, is planned on being on in Joliet. If there is some significant state mandate that comes down, we'll have to address it, but as of right now, it will be, Halloween's on a Saturday. The hours have been changed a little bit from 3 to 6. We also have signs here at City Hall, or you could download them online for people who want to opt out this year. They can take the sign, place it on their front door. So we'll give more details at the next meeting, but I get hit with that question at least once a day. People want to know what our plans are. We do plan on doing the trick-or-treating in Joliet. So that's all I have for tonight. We do have a closed session.
Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition, or conveyance, pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will adjourn?
So moved.
It's been motioned and seconded to go into closed session. Councilman Mudron?
Yes.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hugg?
Aye.
Motion carried.